A great option for styling shorter hair lengths in vintage hairstyles is to use Velcro rollers. Today I'll be showing you how to apply and style hair with these rollers as I help Brianna get ready for a 1960s James Bond party. With some diamond theming in mind, we'll be using Marilyn Monroe for our inspiration, but personalizing the style to fit Brianna's needs. A list of all the products I used will be linked in the description below. Brianna's hair is short and cropped, cut into a bob style with a fringe in the front. I'll be using our inspiration photos of Marilyn to create Brianna a fun vintage hairstyle perfect for her event. For applying Velcro rollers, your hair does not need to be completely wet. Rather, I'm just saturating it a little bit with some water, and then I'm going to apply setting lotion to each section. The setting pattern will be quite simple. I have tied off her bangs, and I've created my first row above her ear, where I will set the first roller and a small pin curl. Continue this row on the other side above the ear. The width of your hair section should be about the same size as the width of the curler. Today I'm using 1-inch Velcro rollers that come in a lovely pink shade. Be sure to fasten the roller and attach itself to the hair. If your hair is too wet, it might be difficult to attach using that adhesive Velcro. Now that we have those front two sections, we're going to continue creating our rows around the back of the crown. The amount of rollers you need will depend on your hair type. Be careful not to overcrowd your curler with too much hair. If the hair on the curler is too thick, it's going to have difficulty adhering. I would describe this hair setting pattern as two separate sections. The front row, which is rows of curlers rolled away from the hair parting, and the back section, which consists of 3 rows of curlers going down the back of the head. For the shorter part of the fringe, I used a pin curl instead of a roller. And to hold it all in place, I applied a hairnet. The drying time will not be as long as when you do a complete wet set, but I am finishing off the hair set with a little bit of hairspray and some heat from the hair dryer. The heat was applied after the rollers had been drying for about 4 to 5 hours. We can start by removing the curlers from that bottom row first, combing out the hair and folding it in place. I'm using a comb, but you can use whatever hairbrush or comb you have on hand. As I was pulling out the curlers, to my relief, the hair was completely dry, and the amount of curl was just what I was hoping for. The 1-inch curler is the perfect size for creating a variety of vintage hairstyles, especially this vintage style page boy with a shorter haircut. I'm using a comb to comb out each section, adding that little fold into the end and pushing it up with my hands. Now that the hair has some curl to it and a little bit of product, it's pretty easy to mold and shape it into what you want it to look like. I'm applying some mists of hairspray whenever I feel like I want to maintain a bit more of the shape. The hairspray I'm using in today's video for the majority of the style is the Oribe Fine Mist Hairspray. I love how light and layerable this hairspray is, and you can apply it without worrying about the hair getting too crunchy. Once the back was completed, I moved on to the front, removed all the curlers, and began to brush out those side sections, finally adding the pieces of the bang. I wanted to create that perfect S swoop, and then for the front fringe, we created a very small little curl that would stay in place. This was actually my first time doing someone else's hair for the camera, so it was a bit of a learning process and hopefully something I will get better at as we move forward. To set the bang, I am using a little bit of that Kenra hairspray. It's a bit crispier, but I feel like it's a good option for an area of the hairstyle that you'll want a bit more hold. While I'm doing the brush out, let's take a moment to appreciate Brianna's beautiful makeup. She did it herself, and she has some amazing eyeshadow game. Such a glamorous makeup look that will pair perfectly with this iconic hairstyle. And go ahead and follow her on Instagram. I'll leave her handle below. To reinforce the shapes that I'm making, I'm adding some duckbill clips. But of course, getting some approval before moving on and locking it all in place. One thing I love about Velcro rollers is when creating a style, they're very moldable in that the shapes that you make are kind of more impressionable than other hair setting methods. There's plenty of room to play around with the hair and get the shape that we're looking for. But once we find the shape that we like, we can secure the bang with 2 more duckbill clips. After adding some final mists of hairspray, we can remove the clips and fine-tune the style. The hair should have a good amount of memory now after sitting with the duckbill clips and the hairspray for a little while. If you love vintage hairstyles and you have a shorter haircut like Brianna, be sure to check out Velcro rollers as a new method for styling your hair. They are easy to apply and do not have to be worn overnight, so they're a great alternative for those who do not wish to sleep in rollers. To complete the hairstyle, I'm applying a little bit more of that Kenra volume hairspray to really lock it all in place. I think the style looks absolutely gorgeous on Brianna, and I'm so thankful that she could be my first hair model. I hope you enjoyed this Velcro roller tutorial, and you'll come back for my next video soon.